I'm Jana and this is Celia. We are two northern lights from the land between the Baltic and the North Sea, Schleswig-Holstein in Germany. Different boats and the roaring winds in Scandinavia taught us how to sail. After exploring much of Denmark's, Sweden's and Norway's beautiful coast, we found it was time to dare something new. We gave up our old home and found a new one. A classic Swedish lady that needed some treatment. 2 long winters we dedicated all our time and energy to get her ready for distant shores. In July 2019, we left our home waters to fill our lives with less things, but with adventures and experiences for life. Join us and be part of our journeys. From Frigate Island, we continued to Chatham Bay on the lee side of Union Island. It was like entering a collapsed volcano caldera with steep hills around and a long sandy beach. We came past our first super yacht with its feeder ship Garçon. What was pretty cool is that we saw that the super yacht had been built by the shipbuilding yard Lürsen, only a few kilometers away from our home in Kiel. Once we put down our anchor, we already felt the accelerated wind which came down over the hills in strong gusts, making the anchored yachts move around quite a bit. Thula's anchor chain groaned through the whole boat, but the holding was good, nothing to worry about. Early one morning, Nora, Charlotte, Henning and I decided for a hike up the hill to see what our surrounding was like. We had met Charlotte and Henning on our anchorage at Frigate Island with their sailing yacht Björku, and guess what? They were also from Kiel. After spending a few days in this anchorage, we were slowly running out of fresh water as you drink quite a bit in warm temperatures. Except for a few bars, there was nothing around us really to get some fresh water. Sometimes boats came in the early morning selling fruit and white bread costing 15 EC, around $5, which wasn't exactly a good deal. We needed to go back to Clifton, where we luckily found a long jetty to dock Thula to and fill up her tanks. Otherwise, it would have taken us hours and hours bringing water back and forth in our jerry cans with our dinghy. We were also longing for some fresh vegetables and fruit. Phew, they had some steep prices. €8 for a pineapple, €8 for a sack of potatoes, €6 for a net of tomatoes. This was the first time we actually decided only for the most basic things. We would have to get creative with the canned food we still had on board. And it was certainly time for catching some fish soon. The locals told us this was the main vegetable and fruit market of the island. We really wondered how people survived having to spend almost all their salary on food, or whether there was a different market somewhere. We never found out. The supermarket prices were no better. The offered cheese for $24 a package did not find its way into Thula's fridge, even though we were really longing for it. We put down our anchor in Chatham Bay in Meru, which had plenty of room to anchor, and the holding in the sand was also good. Meru is one of the smaller, locally inhabited Grenadine islands. It can only be reached by boat. No airport, no resorts, no bank, no police station, and no electricity until 2003. Our goal was the cute Roman Catholic church, which we found atop of the hill. For many years, Roman Catholicism was the only religion allowed, as the island was originally owned by the St. Hilaire family of St. Vincent, and the inhabitants owned no land. It was only in 1986 that it was possible for the people of Meru to purchase their plot of land and therewith truly own their land. Roman Catholicism came to Meru with the French colonists who settled here in the 17 and 1800s. St. Vincent and the neighboring islands are predominantly Protestant from early British control. Originally, the church was fully wooden, but destroyed through hurricanes several times. In 1921, another hurricane destroyed the last wooden church. This was reason enough for Father Charles Verbeeke to make a trip to Belgium to learn how to work with bricks, mortar, and concrete. He returned to impart his knowledge to the community, so a new brick and stone church was built in 1930. The church assists the community in important projects such as water conservation, tree planting, education scholarships, and self-employment opportunities. Behind this church, we were surprised by a breathy, breathtaking panoramic view of the Tobago Cays and the southern Grenadines. We are here on Mayreau, just in front, an amazing view over the Tobago Cays, which we want to visit next to do some snorkeling. Behind me is the very famous Roman Catholic Church, one of the earliest churches that they had from here, as many of the slaves took over the religion of their masters. And what I found here is a quite cool card to show you a little bit where we've been sailing the last few weeks. After we came from Tobago, we actually went to Grenada. There's still a little part here that you can see. Unfortunately, some of the letters have vanished a little bit. From Grenada, we actually from St. George, that was our last stop. We went to the Ile de Ronde, where we did some really nice snorkeling, and I think there were like 4 or 5 yachts, and it almost seemed as if the island was uninhabited. From here we continued actually and to Kariakou. Now I have to think a little bit. In Kariakou, I think we first went to Tyrol Bay, which was a huge, huge bay with a lot of sailing boats, which we didn't like so much. We then continued along the coast, and here was a little island called, it's not, you can't really see it anymore, but there was Sandy Island, just a white strip of sand, very, very beautiful. From Sandy Island we continued here up here, I think maybe it was this bay or this one. There was the Anse de Roche, which was also so cool because we were the only ones in there, and yeah, I still remember the pina colada, which gave us a little bit of a headache. We left out Petit Martinique and Petit St. Vincent, and then went to Union Island, first to Clifton for immigration, because this doesn't belong to the this doesn't belong to Grenada anymore, but to the Grenadines. And from there we went behind here to behind Frigate Island to do some kite surfing. Ashton is right here in the corner, a little village where you could buy some food, but really, really expensive. Then we went around here to Chatham Bay, where there was actually only a dirt road, but like felt like being in a crater, which was really, really nice. And from Chatham Bay we had to go around again because the water on Thula was empty. I mean literally empty. I had to take a cup into our tank and get the last scoops of water out of there, and that was it. And from there we actually then went to Meru. Right now we are anchoring in Selin Bay. We still want to go to Salt Whistle Bay on the top maybe today, and then over to the Tobago Cays.
You can need any more later on. We're going to date later on.
Okay.
Also tonight, you are around here for the evening? Because we do pizza every night.
Pizza?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the reason to stay. Okay.
I'm good.
See you.
I'm good.
We enter the Tobago Cays Marine Park the next day, approaching it between Mayreau and Baleine Rocks. This park was established to protect the ecosystem of 9 islands, including the uninhabited island of the Tobago Cays and Meru, as well as the island Meru itself. All visitors are required to pay a visitor fee, which were 10 EC per person. When we arrived, all moorings between Petit Bateau and Petit Rameau you could fasten to overnight for 45 EC, around 17 US dollars, were taken, and there was not enough space to anchor safely. We continued through the narrow channel to the anchorage behind the island Baradal. It was, however, open to the full force of the ocean winds and very rolly. But it was the only sensible anchorage with some space. We would only stay for one night anyways.
It was at this point that I broke off my snorkeling expedition. I had almost been run over 2 times by speeding boats while swimming in the water filming. Everybody was just heading for the beach for a barbecue prepared by the local boat boys. Besides those idiots not looking where they were going, the noise underwater was unbearable. Those poor turtles, I was wondering why they were even still there. Early the next day, when no tourist boat had arrived yet, we gave it a second try and headed for an island exhibition.
Stay tuned for the next episode of our adventures. Don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel and leave us a comment if you have questions or just want to give us a feedback. If you enjoy our filming activities, why not support us on our Patreon page with a few bucks? That will help us replace broken video gear and improve what you see.